of Matthew, we have not seen any prophecies fulfilled for hundreds of years. We have this image of an unfinished masterpiece, a half-painted picture, an incomplete work of art, as if everything has just stopped. When I think about this, it could, for me, being an art lover, sort of bring a frustrated feel into things. When I see a piece of art that could be so magnificent, and yet it lacks the finishing touch, or just stops at the background, it irritates me. Where is the main focus of this piece, and where are the defining details? Maybe if we look hard enough into the picture that was painted in the Bible, we'll be able to see the decay, sickness running amok, and death prevailing over God's children. But where did this unfinished image come from, and who is going to finish this masterpiece? Looking back at the dawn of time, when God created man and woman, Adam and Eve, perfect in the eyes of God, created by Him, for Him, and living in this beautiful garden called Eden. The moment that Adam and Eve bit into that forbidden fruit, they were removed from paradise, from perfection, and from the finished work of God. As we go on up through history, in the book of Judges and in 1st and 2nd Kings, we see false religion taking over. The gods of Baal are coming into play. Even through all this disaster, we still had people who cried out for someone to finish the piece, someone to get up and stand in the gap. In the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 33, it says, "If only there was someone to mediate between us, someone to bring us together." In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 22, verse 30, it says, "I looked for someone among them who could build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, so I would not have to destroy it. But I found no one." There we heard both Job and Ezekiel crying out for someone to stand in the gap. So as we go back to the book of Matthew, again, we've not had any prophecies fulfilled for centuries. But just with the birth of Christ, we begin to see things start moving again. The creative juices within the artists begin to stir. Something is going to happen. Things begin to change, and the clock starts ticking once again. Throughout Jesus' life, we see the disaster-filled piece of art begin to reverse. Jesus is bringing healing and peace and joy to people. As we draw near the end of Jesus' life, things are finally looking up, but then he's taken to be killed. But God knew exactly what he was doing. You see, even when we think that something should go a certain way, God usually has a different plan, or a different idea, or different vision for our lives. On the day of Jesus' crucifixion, he was forced to pick up this battered, harsh cross and carry it up the hill of Calvary. There he had spikes driven into his hands and into his feet. He had a crown of thorns thrust upon his head. Then he was raised up before the world, full of humility and anguish for his children, you and I, whom he loved so dearly. Just before he died, he cried out the words, "It is finished!" The veil of the temple was torn, and the work of God was fulfilled. You see, it's no coincidence that he spoke the words, "It is finished." He was speaking about the masterpiece of God. You see, before the death of Christ, the people of God were not able to be with God because of the wickedness of sin that was in their hearts. People had tried for ages to find a way to be with God. But by God giving his Son to be the atoning sacrifice, we are now able to be in the presence and in the glory of God. Our sins have been removed, and he has placed his signature with his blood over the masterpiece. Christ has now paved the way for us. God restored what was once destroyed and turned it once again into a beautiful piece of art, a story of love and a story of compassion. It's our job now that the piece has been finished, for us to preserve what was done. It's now our turn to finish the piece of art that is our life. It's our job to be the testimony and live out the walk. You see, we aren't just called to talk the talk. We have to also walk the walk and run the race to the finish. We must stay on the course and meet Christ at the end. So I'll leave you a saying. In the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, it says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day. And not only to me, but to all who have longed for his appearing." Thank you.